Among every world, among every timeline, among everything you can imagine in different worlds, people are there to guide you through stories, guide you through timelines. Welcome to the Blue Mask What If channel. Hello everybody, this is Blue Mask and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys will enjoy this video and let's begin. Hello everyone, this is Blue Mask and welcome back to my channel. This is the second episode, aka first part, because in this series there's always a part 0. So an intro to what we get into. So, last time we left off, Bell, Deku, and Bakugo with Bavaria somewhere in the mansion with All Might, and Ice also in the same room with Hestia, Deku, Bakugo, and Bell were sitting, and then they were talking about the vacation. But right now, it's been a couple of hours since then. And Bell is right now asleep. But we're not gonna focus on that, but a dream he's having. Bell was standing somewhere, but he doesn't know where he actually is. What what Bell could see, he was high up in the air, as high as he think, but he can see down to the grass, to to many bugs on the ground, roads, maps, mountains, even the seas are far away. But Bell is in the sky, far away from the ground itself. Bell was just staring when a bird flied by him, a hawk, and that hawk was looking at Bell with red eyes. But this hawk was a white one, flying away towards the mountain. Bell didn't understand this, but still looked. It flies and flied away until it landed on a house. A village in the mountain, where snow was covering everything. The bird was looking at this village, and Bell was staring with it. Bell could see this village, the people roaming around, but he couldn't see what races there are. He could see humans, dwarves, elves, Amazons, even animal people, but they're covered in snow itself. Bell could not understand the dream. The hawk flied away from the village. Bell followed its sight. After some few minutes, they landed on a tower. Bell looked down again and saw Rorio. Bell was on the Tower of Babel. He looked down to a mansion, into a window, and then Bell woke up, gasping for air, not understanding what just happened. Bell put his hand on his chest, trying to calm down. Bell looks outside of the window towards the Babel Tower. He could see something on the very top. Something white. Bell couldn't understand this. But after some few moments, he couldn't see anything else. He just saw the tower, nothing at the top. Bell looked forward. He looked frightened. There was a village, right? But why was they all covered in snow? The hair, and I couldn't see their eyes. Why why was it looking there? Bell didn't know what was going on, so he stood up and walked outside. It was around 6 in the morning. Bell looked around and not a lot of people was up. Only a few, actually. He saw he saw Isawa walking with Shinzo down the hallway. He turned the corner, not noticing Bell outside of his room. Bell walked to a balcony that was looking outside to the courtyard. Bell stood there for a moment, taking in the air. Well, breathing in the air. Bell stood there, remembering the dream. Him flying in the sky, him landing in a house. Landing on the house. Him flying up to Babel Tower and staring down to his body, into his eye. He didn't understand what was going on. Bell looked out towards a tree when he spotted something. A white. Bell didn't know what it was. When he saw it, it was white, and then it disappeared. Bell stood there for a second or two. Bell stood there, watching the tree that the white, figure or little figure was on. When he blinked, it was still gone. Nothing was there. Bell looked around in the other trees. Nothing was there. Not a white creature or anything else. Bell put his, elbows on the balcony edge and put his face in his hands. What is going on? Why am I dreaming this? What does that dream mean? After some few seconds, he didn't hear anything behind him, but felt a hand on his shoulder. Bell looked and saw Riveria standing there. She had on a green shirt and pants. Well, her normal, the regular outfit without her staffs by her side. Bell, are you alright? Oh, Riveria. Yeah, I think I'm fine. I don't know, actually. What's going on, Belle? Is something troubling you? No, it's. uh, Do you ever had weird dreams before? Not specifically, but I know I have some dreams that's weird. Why do you ask? I just I just had a dream about me flying as a hawk to a village in the mountains and to the top of Babel, and I just it was a white hawk with red eyes, and when I woke up, I looked at the tower and I saw something white on it, and it disappeared, and then I wanted to get some air, and when I looked at that tree, Bell pointing the tree out to Viraria, I saw the hawk again. I think it was that, but I it it's gone. I It was there, and next thing I knew, it was not there anymore, and I felt you're talking too fast. Please calm your breathing. I Is that normal? I've never experienced this before. Hmm. No, it's not normal. But Can you tell me what you that village you saw in your dream? What was it? It it was a village in the mountains, I think. Um, not near. I don't know specifically. I was just there at one point. I think it was um, uh, northwest. I think. I don't really know. I was standing behind the hawk and I was looking at the village. Everything was covered in snow. The people walking around was a lot of races: elves, dwarves, humans, Amazons, and demi humans. But when I looked at them, everyone had snow in their hair. What I believe, I could not see anyone's eyes. They walked around like they uh, they doesn't mind the snow. Uh, Very, I'm very confused. It's all right. Please breathe slowly. Yeah, okay. These dreams, has this ever happened? Like I said, no. This is the first time I've ever experienced this. I see. Hmm. Did something happen before everything started? The dream begin or anything else? I was in the sky. Then I saw the ground. I saw, sorry, I saw the ground. I saw spiders. I saw horses, humans walking around. I saw the trees and I saw birds laying eggs. I saw squirrels going around. I saw monsters going through the forest. And when all saw that, the hawk was there, flying by me. It was wide. It was not a normal one. When it looked back, it saw me, but its red eyes like mine. Hmm. I truly do not understand this. But you may go talk to Hestia. The gods know more than we do, Belle. But get some more sleep. Yeah, sure. Belle stood up and walking towards the door. Belle stopped and thought about something. Wait, why are you up? Hmm? I mean, why are you not, well, sleeping as well? Oh, I was, don't think about it, Belle. Yeah, understood. I don't want to think about it. Belle walked away and Riveria smiled. Riveria looked towards the tree Belle pointed out and saw something. It was white and had red eyes. The creature was looking at Riveria. When she blinked, it was gone. Hmm. Maybe something would happen. We'll see then. Riveria walked into the mansion again and was walking, well, back to her room with All Might. After 2 hours, Belle woke up again. He didn't have a dream this time. Belle sat up in his bed and just thought, maybe I should go to Goddess. Bell stepped out of, well, Bell sat to the edge of his bed and got up, getting on his normal clothes, being his, well, black shirt, black pants, and his brown jacket. Bell walked outside of his room and walked towards the goddess, well, office. When he knocked on it, he heard a voice. Come in! Bell walked in and saw that Goddess Hestios was sitting at, well, at her chair and was just writing some papers. Goddess? Ah, Bell! Good to see you. How may I help you? Well, I just, um, Belle walked into the room and closed the door, walking over to, well, Hestia's table and sat down. I just want some help. Hmm? What's going on, Belle? Last night, I think I had a weird dream, or a vision, or something. I don't know. What do you mean? Last night, I dreamt I was floating in the sky. I saw everything on the ground perfectly, to the smallest spider in the world to the biggest monsters of on the surface. But I saw a hawk fly by me. It was white and had red eyes like me, and when it did, it flew over the skies. I couldn't see where it was going, but it landed in a village in the mountains. When it landed, I saw a lot of races with white hair, well, hair that looks like it was covered in snow, I think. Every single one of them. It looked around and then flew back to Aurario, landing on the top of Babel, but when I woke up, I think I saw it on the tower. I went out from some for some air and I saw it sitting in a tree. When I blinked, it was gone, and after some few seconds, I think 5 minutes, Riveria was out there, and I asked her about this, but she didn't know what was going on. Hmm. Belle, do you mind if I update your status? Yeah, I think it's been 3 days last. Yes. Hestia took a paper that was meant to her, well, to her children. Belle took his shirt off and made sure his back was towards Hestia. When she came over, she pricked her finger with a needle and put some blood on Belle's back, activated his status, and, well, updating it. It took 2 minutes before Hestia put his status, well, his status back on Belle's back and showed it to him. Everything was around C right now. But one thing that was different for Bell was his magic skill. Magic skill? Yes, sometimes skills and magic can combine. It's, it's a lot rarer than you think. I think the only two I actually have is All Might and Izuku actually. Having a skill that's part magic and part a skill. Is it? I don't know. It hasn't been formed yet, but it's there. It will probably take some few days, probably a day. Okay. Anyways, congratulations, though. You got a rare skill magic. It's actually, I think there's around 100 people having this skill. Well, then it's not rare, then, right? No, it is pretty rare. I think the only people I personally know, like I said, was Bakugo. No, not Bakugo. Was All Might and Izuku and NASA. Actually, NASA. Oh, you mean that Miik's familiar member? Yes, him. Hmm. Miik's NASA. I think her skill is, well, magic skill is potion maker. By the way, I don't actually know what NASA's status is. This is just my own thing. Hmm. I think magic's magic maker is NASA can understand every single potion she will ever she will make, or a potion she has tasted beforehand. Whoa. Yes. That's why I've helped well, that's why I've helped Meek a lot over these years. He's been down here. Oh, that is quite nice, goddess. Of course it is. Meek is also a good friend. By the way, I hope you still buy from them. Yeah, I do. Don't worry. Good, because I do prefer Mirik over, well, that that god. Did you have trouble with him beforehand? Yeah, let's say he didn't do a good job at one point. I will only say that. Oh, okay. Anyways, you should probably go train and go to the dungeon today. I think it was 3 days from now we're going to Melon. So please be prepared, Belle. Sure. Thanks, goddess. No problem. Belle walked away towards the door and walked out. Hestia looked at Belle's status and saw it. Hmm. Magic skill. Rare as it is, it's hard to get a normal skill that's unique. Hestia looked at Belle's status and saw that all of the words that was on it was blurred out. But she could read one word. I. Why? Is it something to do with Belle's eyes? Hestia walked over to the fireplace that was going on and threw it into it, burning the paper of Belle's status. Well, whatever it is, I hope it will be a unique skill for Belle. A few days later. By the way, I totally forgot it was 3 days or, well, the next day. But I will say 3 days later. 3 days later. Right now, Belle is staring out to the ocean and having this wonderful look in his eyes. Whoa, this is the ocean? Belle could feel the sand well under his flip flops right now. He was surprised how it felt. Belle has never actually experienced sand. Someone came up from behind him and slapped him on his back. He turned around to see Wealth that was standing there looking out as well. Wow, this is a good view, right, Belle? You don't say. Belle looked out and looked at everything else. Anyways, come and help already. Belle turned around to see that people were setting up some tents in this area. Right now, they're well, at a big beach or a secret beach at Melon, where they could set up some tents and where they could relax. And because there are really many, that the bill will be high, really high in every hotel. So they decided just to sleep out in tents. Belle walked over and helped out with some, well, some of, well, some, well, helping out, well, Deku, Bakugo, Deku, Bakugo, Wealth, Ocker, Oka, Oka, and All Might setting up some tents. Yeah, I think these the only people I said Hestia will take with her. Well, I think Nezu as well. No, I think I will say Nezu was left behind. So yeah, it's Deku, Bakugo, Bell, Wealth, Oka, and All Might that's right now helping up setting up some tents. Hey, can I ask where are the girls at? Bell looked at All Might and Bakugo that was standing beside him. Ah, the Riveria and the young ladies are going, well, to change into better outfits. What's that supposed to mean? Meaning that they're gonna up, well, put on some swimsuits. Okay. Where? Why? You want to peek on them? No, it's just I didn't see them around here because we just set up the first tent. Oh, I wouldn't say where. I don't actually know where they are actually. Ha! And of course you're gonna never know. That's just rude. That is just rude. That might. Ha! Of course it is. Bakugo just laughed and helped up setting up another tent. After after 10 minutes, Bell heard some hearing Hestia yelling out. Hest Bell heard Hestia saying yelling, "We're back!" Oh yeah, Hestia's husband is also there. Oh shit, what the fuck did I name him? Give me a moment. Alright, so I think I found a good one for Riveria because what they explained how Riveria's one looks in canon was not really great. So yeah. Uh yeah, I can explain Riveria's first. What Bell when he saw the canon version meaning eyes and through Loki Familia, when he saw Riveria's one, it was a swimsuit that actually looks more like a dress. It had a stuff. It has a. Fuck it. Give me a moment. I will find a picture. All right. I think I got the name. I think I his John or Hestia's husband is named Jonathan, or his shorter name is Jonathan. but I think I called him a fancier name, Jonathan, or a longer name. I wanted to name him, but I'm just calling him Jonathan, or a fancy name for that. But Hestia's husband is well is wanted to be called Jonathan, so his name is Jonathan. He is an he's a retired adventurer. He's older than All Might and Riveria. Jonathan has actually lost an arm in a previous incident, so he retired afterwards. He has Jonathan is an elf, like I said, a normal elf like Riveria, a high elf, or just a regular elf that became an adventurer but retired afterward that when he lost his arm and little more of his well strength. He Jonathan is not a normal elf that likes being clean shaven. He actually has a beard. Jonathan has black hair, and I think um green eyes. I think I will give him. Yeah, I never said Jonathan's eye color, did I? No, I didn't. So yeah, Jonathan, like I said, is an elf. He is looks around his 40s, so older than Bavaria. It looks like she's in her 20s. He has a beard. He has green eyes, black hair. He has lost his right arm. I think. I think I said right arm, or was it the left one? Uh, no, I said right. He lost his right arm. That's his dominant arm. He's mostly retired, but also comes back to protect, Hestia. Jonathan is also a round level. He's never actually said what level he is. Bell doesn't know what his level is, but Bell can feel like he is stronger than Bavaria, but weaker than All Might. So yeah, he can do a lot of things, but he's not adventuring anymore because of his injuries. All right, so yeah, that's Jonathan, Hestia's husband. So let's continue. When Belle heard that Hestia announces, all the girls that are back, right now they have set up around 10 tents around the camp, meaning, um, Guelph, Belle can share, Deku can have one, Bakugo, All Might, Jonathan, Guelph, that's 7, and there's what the hell is moving? Sorry. Um, I think no. Bell and Wealth are sharing a tent. Wealth is not getting a tent alone. Jonathan and Hestia is getting one alone. Bavaria and All Might are getting one alone. Deku and Bakugo is sharing a tent. No, I think Bakugo and Deku is also gonna sleep in the same tent as Wealth and Bell. The other two are correct. So the girls are sharing the rest of the 7 tents. Okay, it's also going in the same tent as, well, the other boys. Boys. No, let's say. Wait, didn't I also say Take's familiar is there? I didn't say Miek. It's Loki, Hestia, Take because of the incident, and Hephaestus. I actually said will also be there. So yeah, those are the four gods, meaning that Oka, Oka is sharing a tent with Bel, Wealth, Bel and Wealth. Let's say 15 tents are set up. So those two, All Might, Hestia is All Might and Riveria are getting one alone. Hestia is getting one alone. Loki and Hephaestus is sharing a tent. Take is getting a bed from himself. That's 5 tents, and the rest of the 10 tents are sharing between the girls. Yeah, so Oka, Deku, Bakugo, Wealth, and Bell are sharing one, and then Take is sharing one, taking one alone. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, the boys have set up around 15 tents, and right now the girls are walking back towards them. Bell is heard Hestia calling out. He turned around to see all the girls in their swimsuits, meaning original canon from the Loki Familia, meaning I have to. Well, no, actually not. Um, Give me a moment, actually, because I don't want to do this and tell every single swimsuits I found. I found the pictures of the characters you see, and by the way, Chikusa, Chikusa, uh, the other girl from Takes Familia, that is just the swimsuit from the Hot Spring episode. So here you go. I will be quiet and show you the pictures. Are you done? Good, because you'll never see this again. When Belle saw all the females in their swimming, when Belle saw all the females in their swimming suit, Belle just blushed heavily. When he when he saw them, he immediately turned around and looked away, heavily, like I said, blushing and just nervous. Beside him, Welf stood there and looked at, Hephaestus that was wearing a black bikini. Yeah, just a normal two-piece bikini, nothing else. Welf looked at her and said, Heaven. Belle just looked at him and said, Please don't say that again. What? I mean, the Sword Princess looked good. Do you not think she looks good, Belle? Belle just looked at Welf and just, with his eyes, said, Shut the fuck up. Belle turned to the girls again to, look to look around and saw that Ice was wearing, Um, a two-piece bikini that's white with um, I think it's a white cloth that's around her waist that's covering. Well, it looks like that. Like I said, two-piece bikini. That's Ice was wearing a two-piece bikini that was white with a white cloth that was down her leg. Belle looked at her and just stared for a little while when Welf just slapped him on the shoulder. Stop staring. You cannot say shit. Yeah, but I can admit it. You cannot, Belle. Oi, Belle. Belle turned around to see Jonathan coming over and holding some ingredients in his arm. Can you help me with the grill? Sure. Belle walked over to where the meat were and picked it up, going over to the grill where Jonathan had set up, well, ingredients for barbecue. What should it help with? Can you cut the vegetables? Sure. Belle held out Belle worked with the knife, cutting up some vegetable veg. I can't say shit today. Belle cut the vegetables and the meat to make some to make some a to make some like I said, barbecue. Yeah, I think it's called barbecue, where you put meat, vegetable, and anything on a stick and then eat it. Belle held out for around 15 minutes when where everyone else was doing their own thing. Belle saw some of the girls was in the water splashing around. Wealth and Ucker was over at the volleyball where they have set up volleyball, I think it's called, a net, and then they, you know, that thing. Wealth and Ok- Oka was playing some few rounds with Oka having Mikoto on his side and Wealth having mm, Wealth having Hephaestus on his side. All four of them was playing some volleyball, and Bell smiled at this. He looked around to see that All Might and Riveria was sitting under a umbrella with just gather, getting some drinks and just drinking it. Bell helped out with the food a little after looking around after 5 minutes. Bell started to get tired for some reason. Huh? Bell didn't think about it, but started to slow down with making the food, and Jonathan noticed. Hey, Belle, are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just somehow feeling really tired. Belle stopped cutting vegetables and put the knife away from his hands. Well, go under an umbrella and take a break. I don't mind. I can just ask Tisuku or Bakugo. Sure. Belle walked over to one of the one of the chairs and sat down. Belle took, well, let I forgot to actually mention what Belle was wearing. Belle was wearing, well, white and red swim trunks and a, well, white shirt. Also with a sun hat he always uses when he's, well, more in the sun. So he's always having that around. Belle walked over, like I said, over to a seat and, well, lay down on it, putting the hat, well, over his face and just fell asleep instantly. Belle was in the sky again. He knew this because, well, it was same as his dream that he can remember well. Belle was looking around again, but he could not see to the ground or anything else. He only saw the ocean, where marine life was, where the fishes were swimming around, and where some of the, well, water monsters that were swimming in the ocean. When the eagle, the white eagle with red eyes, fly by him again, Belle looked at it and it looked back at him. Belle was flying through the air fast. He was flying over a melon, what he could see. He was flying around and seeing actually where people was playing around. Where he saw everyone actually. Sorry. Belle was flying through the air, going a little, well, more down to the ground. Belle was flying over the ocean right now, nearly touching the water. Belle was flying towards the boat. Belle sat on, well, one of the main mess, one of the poles that were holding, well, the what where one of the flags was of a familiar logo. He looks down to see Amazons walking around. Brown haired, black haired, gray haired people was walking around when he saw a goddess. A little goddess with red hair and wearing a mask. She was talking to them about something he couldn't hear. After some few seconds, the goddess looked up towards Belle. Belle just looked down and then flew off, away from the ship. When he flew away, he went over, well, back to Melon. When he was flying over, well, over the water, he looks down to see two Amazons, who he recognized as Tyone and Tyona. Belle looked at them while going down to the, well, seafloor, checking out, well, a bone looking structure. Belle saw a green vine thing that well, that Belle has never seen beforehand, going around, well, on the bottom of the ocean. The Belle immediately went back towards, well, where they were, and saw that everyone was, well, on the beach looking out to the ocean, towards where Tyone and Tyona was. No one was in the sea or anything else, but he saw his own body, well, laying there with his hat covering his face. But he saw Lily, Haruhime, and Eyes also standing around him, trying to wake him up, but he Belle wasn't moving. When Belle looked back at the ocean, he sees that Tyone and Tyona was, well, saw the green vine thing, well, attacking them under the water. Both of them fighting it off. Bell went over to a higher point of, a rock formation that was near them. Well, no, he saw a rock formation near, where where they set up camp and everything else. Bell immediately, well, the f- well, the Bell that was not in his body immediately went over where his bow and arrow was, sitting outside of his tent. Bell could hear a little bell ringing, but he didn't know where. Bell grabbed his bow and arrow and flied up to, the highest point of the rock formation. When Bell sat when Bell sat the weapon and bow by his side, he turned around to see what was going on with the ringing sound. He saw that his arm was glowing. Well, his physical body was glowing, and everyone was surprised that it activated in his sleep. But he saw that Riveria was actually looking in the opposite direction, towards where Bell's mind was actually at. Bell looked at her, and Riveria saw and looked surprised. When Bell looked back at his body, he saw that Goddess Hestia was by his side trying to wake him up. But when he yelled out, or an eagle sound went out, everyone actually looked where it came from to see a white eagle. Well, eagle, right? Or hawk. It was a hawk, not an eagle. Sorry about that, I mispronounced that. A hawk was sitting at a cliffside yelling out, having Bell's bow and arrows. Bell could feel he was back in his body, immediately knowing what to do. Bell sat up, surprising everyone. But when Bell put his hat on his back, Bell immediately stood up and rushed. When he got up from the seat, he immediately rushed over to where the eagle was, where the bow and arrow was. Everyone tell him to stop and asking what the hell was going on. But Hestia noticed Bell's eyes. Bell's eyes had a circle with four lines going each way. With some lines, going from those, four. It's like a sniper scope. Not a dot one, but the black lines in a sniper scope. That's what is in Bell's eye. When Bell jumped up to where the eagle jumped away from the cliff, and Bell grabbed his bow and arrow. He grabbed the bow and arrow and put the arrow into the bow and strung it back. The eagle landed on Bell's right shoulder or left shoulder, and Bell was just looking at the ocean. Putting his, Argonaut ability into the arrow and, his flame Argonaut or lightning fire aerial into the shot as well. Everyone was confused what Bell was even doing when Izuku jumped up towards him. Bell, what the hell are you doing? Bell didn't say anything else but just looked out to the ocean. The eagle screamed and went up, into the sky. Izuku was confused at what the hell that bird was doing. Bell looked when Izuku looked back at Bell, Bell was narrowing his eyes and then shot the shot the arrow off, going in near the ocean. Bell, what the hell? Izuku grabbed Bell to get him down from cliff. When Bell just said, "Look, He looked out to the ocean to see a viola coming up from the ocean, having Tayoni and Tayona, near it at the sea. When Isuku was surprised by this and was about to jump away, Belle just said, "No." When the viola came up and screamed out, trying to, get over to the boat, Belle's arrow actually hit the viola's, vine thing where the mouth was, actually cutting the thing's lower mouth off, making the body part fall to the ocean. Tayoni and Tayona was surprised by this, but immediately attacked the monster, cutting it and, making sure that, it couldn't do anything else. When the monster tried to attack the boat, a Amazon, one of the gray-haired one, jumped over and just broke it in half. When that was surprising, the Amazon landed on the boat, and Tayoni and Tayona saw who it is. But we're not gonna focus on that. That will just happen in canon. Belle, when that happened, everyone's surprised that Belle actually shot the viola, that they didn't know what was happening. When Isuku turned to Belle, Belle was, falling off of the rock. Isuku immediately grabbed Belle and put him on his shoulder, jumping back with Belle's bow and arrow in his hands. He jumped down to where everyone else worried about Belle. Isuku just said, "It looks like he had a mind down, but I don't understand. Why did Belle do that?" Isuku looked, well, weird about this when Riveria spoke up. Maybe it's because of that hawk. Maybe it's because of that hawks or hawk. Everyone looked confused when a noise came where Belle was put down to lay to rest. A eagle was actually sitting on the table that was set up where everyone could put their drinks or anything else. An eagle or a hawk was, well, on that table looking at Belle. Everyone was surprised by it and took some few steps back. The only one that didn't was Hestia. Maybe. Hestia immediately rushes over to where her tent was and grabbed something. A paper for Belle's status update. "Turn him around, right now." Everyone was confused, but eyes that was near Belle turned Belle's around to his back. Hestia went over and pricked her, finger and let some drop, blood of a drop of blood, on Belle's back, activated his Falna and updated it. When Hestia and, Hephaestus, Take, and Loki looked at Belle's status, actually knowing about Realis Freeze because Hestia had to tell them, they were surprised at, Belle's magic skill. Hestia immediately put, the Falna back on Belle's back and put, the paper on it, updated it, and made sure everything was on it. Tim went back so he's laying on his back. Eyes nodded and turned him to it, and the hawk jumped over to where Belle was and just, was there looking at Belle. "What is going on, goddess?" Belle walked over, not Belle. God damn it. Isuku walked over to check out what Hestia was looking at. "Well, it seems like Belle. got a new magic skill. When Hestia said that, everyone was surprised. Isugu immediately grabbed Bell's status and looked at, well, the place that was called a magic skill. The Hawk Magical Eye. Users can see through the hawk's that is, well, connected to the user. See through its eyes and see where it is going and see what's going on around him, outside of his body. Training will allow the user to, to walk with the hawk. User can see through the hawk's eyes when the user is not, has his eyes open. Activated when user closes his eyes and wanted to use the magic spell or magic skill. Isuku was surprised and looked at Bell. Looked at the magic skill and looked back to Bell and the hawk. Well, this is surprising. After that moment, Tyone and Tyona came back after 2 minutes. Well, after they swim back, after Isugu said that, 2 minutes after Tyone and Tyona returned back. Hey, what is going on? Everyone has saw that Bell has a new skill, and Isugu said, "It seems Bell has a magic skill." What? Both of the girls went over to check out the status and saw that, well, Bell's magic skill. By the way, the other skills cannot be seen by others, only the gods. So Bell's stats and everything else, only the magic skill can be seen. Whoa! Hawk's eye? He can see through that Hawk's eye? Yes, it seems like that. Right now, the hawk was actually sleeping on, in Bell's arm. Actually falling asleep with Bell. Eyes looked at this scene and think, well, another interesting thing about Belle. She smiled a little and looked at the others. So, what now? Now, take a break, do whatever you want. The food is ready already, so do whatever. Everyone nodded and left except for Eyes that was just looking at Belle. After some few moments, she sat down, near Belle and just relaxed as well. After half an hour, Belle started to wake up. He looked around to see what was going on and saw that everyone was, well, going around and eating some food. Belle sat up more in his chair and put his feet on the ground, feeling that something was in his arms when he did that, and looked to see the hawk that was sitting up looking at him. Okay. Um you are the white hawk, right? It nodded at him and Belle just looked at it. When he said that, a person's voice was beside him. Are you okay, Belle? He looked to see Eyes that was sitting there looking at him in worry. Oh, I'm fine. It just seemed that I got a um little tired though. How did this hawk get here? You don't remember, do you? Well, I had a dream that I was flying over the ocean. Bell explained that what was happening in his dream, and Isis explained that actually happened. Bell was using his magic skill, Hawk's Eye, that everyone was told about because everyone saw what the hell happened. So I have Hawk's Eye? Yes. Like I said, you can see through your Hawk's Eye, meaning that you can shoot anything with just you. Your hawk can help you, well, around stuff and everything else. That is interesting. Bell was petting the hawk's head and it was, well, cooing in, well, happiness. So, what would happen with those Amazons I saw? Right now, Tayoni and Tayona are not happy seeing them. Ice explained what she was told by both of their pasts, telling him that both Tayoni and Tayona was, well, lived in lived in well, the place where they lived. I forgot its name. And tell, well, about their past, about how they killed their own, well, sisters and everything else. Belle said that was horrible, but right now they couldn't do anything else. Belle tried to stand up, but he was weak after that, well, magic incident or magic skill incident. Sit down. I will get you some food. Thanks. Belle sat down and just looked at the hawk. So, you're my animal companion. The hawks made a noise saying, well, what Belle thinks was a yes. Huh. That is pretty amazing. It nodded and just went over to Belle, just pressing, uh, pressing its head into Belle's arm. Belle started to pet it, and everyone saw that Belle woke up, went over to ask him if he was okay or anything else. He said just, sorry. Belle said he was fine, that he was just very tired after that. After that incident, the Loki Familia went over. Belle was, well, got some fruit from Ice and everything else. And Belle went, well, into his tent after that and fell asleep again, getting his energy back. And after that, the whole incident with Tali Familia and everything else happened. Meaning that after some hours, after some few hours, Sophia was kidnapped by Cole Familia, and Livia was kidnapped by the Kali Familia, making Tyone and Tyona fight the Amazons. The Amazon twins were sisters, whatever they're called. And Baguio actually went over to save Lufia instead of Eyes. But that is not where we're gonna focus on. After Bell took a nap and he got informed what is happening, Bell was walking around. Bell was walking around with Haruhime and, well, Wealth. They were walking around trying to find out what is happening. Getting they did get informed that some of their members has gone off. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Some of their members has gone off to face the Kale Familia. Eyes is facing a, well, freeing the toad looking person from the party. But right now, all three of them were making sure that none of them gets hurt. None of the civilians are getting hurt and everything else. When they ran into some Amazons. Well, well, well. All three of them turned to see a, well, an Amazon with purple covering over her chest and some loose purple coloring for her pants, making, well, that making sure that you could see the white part under the pants part. This is Aisha. Aisha, right? Aisha was standing in front of them, smiling with some few Amazons by her side. It seems like we have found the person we were needed. All three of them looked, well, surprised, but pulled out their weapons. Bell's being his bow and arrow, and, well, hunting's, well, pulled out. Bell pulled out his hunting sword, Wealth took out his great sword, Harime took out her spear. Now, don't be violent. All three of them turned, well, Wealth turned around to see some Amazons, well, behind them. We just want one thing. Bell looked at them and asked, what would that be? Aisha pointed at, well, Haruhime. We want her, and no one gets hurt. Well, sorry about that, but she's in the Hestia Familia. Oh, that's so. Well, I did see her at the party, but I thought she was an actual mage. Well, Miss Miss or Lady Ishtar bought her. So she's actually supposed to be in the Ishtar Familia. Bell and the Bell and Wealth and Harime was surprised by this. Harime knew that she was a slave and she was bought, but didn't know who it was. Wealth and Bell was surprised by this and but still, well, showed their weapon. Can't allow you that. She's still in the Hestia Familia now. That's a shame. Then we have to take her by force then. Before anything happened, someone stood behind Aisha and the Amazons in, well, by her side. That won't be necessary. All the Amazon looked to see All Might standing behind them. All Might. Young ladies, I'm suppose you will walk away and never, ever hurt my familia again. All Might put his large hand on Ishtar's shoulder and smiled. If you do, the threat that my goddess made to Freya will come true to Ishtar instead of Freya. I will suggest walking away, not doing anything, and tell Ishtar if she dare touch my familia members. Her and her red light district will burn. Do you understand? Ishtar nodded at this and not Ishtar. Aisha nodded at this and immediately told everyone to retreat. When she did that, All Might looked at, well, the three young ones. Are you young ones okay? Yeah, we're fine. Lucky for us, you arrived in nick and time, so we didn't have to fight. I understand. But young Bell, can you go up to the up to the rooftop. I am so sorry. Young Belle, can you go up to the rooftop and find where Ice is? She's fighting Freen Meal, or the Toad. Sure. Can you put me up to something high? All Might nodded and grabbed a bell and grabbed Bell in his arms and Haruhime and Wealth in his other arm, jumping away towards a clock tower where Bell could stand on. Bell said thanks and pulled out his bow and arrow. All Might nodded and jumped away back to where the camp was. Bell was on the roof of the clock tower, standing there looking over the town of Malin. When he looked around, he saw a fight in the streets with the big Amazon named Freen Damil in a armor and has two axes fighting Eyes, not on equal foot, but still fighting heavily. Bell grabbed a bow and arrow and put it on, grabbed it and Bell grabbed his bow and arrow and knocked a arrow into the bow and, strung it back. Bell was trying to aim for Famille, or the Toad, as I will call her now. Bell was aiming at the Toad, but couldn't get a good shot in. Damn it. But before Bell released the arrow, a eagle cry went out. Well, not eagle, a hawk cry went out, and the hawk landed on Bell's shoulder again. Bell looked at it and it looked back at Bell. When Bell looked back, he saw, the fight closer now. Bell could see where he was aiming. When Eyes jumped away from the Toad, Bell released the arrow. There was no Argonaut fusion in this with his magic. He just released the arrow. The Toad was about to attack Eyes when an arrow came through and hit Jamil in his L or on his into her elbow, actually going into the armor plate. Where the armor was not protecting it in that moment, where there was only cloth, so the arrow went in and actually hit the elbow. The Toad screamed out in pain and jumped away from Eyes further. Eyes looked surprised and looked back where the arrow came from. She saw a white figure standing on a rooftop, and she noticed, she figured out that was Bell. Eyes turned to, the Toad and said, "You better leave. I got support from this guy." The Toad got angry but had retreated anyways. Disappearing into the night, I think. It was night, right? Disappearing into the night, and no one could, find her again. Eyes pulled her rapier, sheathed her rapier and jumped, towards Bell. When she landed on the clock tower, she saw that Bell was, holding his bow and arrow and holding his bow and just petting the hawks on his left shoulder. "Oh, hey, Eyes. How did you get up here, Belle?" "Oh, All Might put me here, but I don't know how to get down." I smiled and just grabbed the bell around his waist, putting his arm around her shoulder and said, "Hold on." Belle was surprised but screamed a little, shouted a little when Eyes jumped off with Belle, falling with her. They landed on the ground and Belle just had a look that said, "Oh my fucking god." Eyes giggled a little. Come on, we have to go back. Belle nodded and walked back to the camp. After some few hours, Tyone and Tyona has returned, with Finn actually being here. Finn was the only one from the Loki Familia males that arrived, with actually Raoul with him. The other, Gareth has held down the fort for a little minute when Loki actually asked, Finn to come here to save Tyona, or Tyone actually. Bell found out that all the two Tyone and Tyona was fighting two Amazons. He didn't actually get their names, but they battled for a while, and when Tyone and Tyona defeated the two Amazons, Isugu was the one that saved Tyona, and Finn was the one that saved Tyone. But Finn got the unfortunate to get another Amazon another Amazon looking at him. But after the whole incident with Kali Familia and Ishtar Familia showing up, the little vacation still happened and they had fun on their little vacation. This is a little shorter episode because I don't know how to continue right now. So I hope you enjoyed this second part or first part of the series, aka the second episode. So good morning, goodbye, farewell, see you later. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful time, my blue masks. Good morning, goodbye, farewell, see you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Bye bye.